think first acknowledging the fact that it's not an easy time, and everybody will manage this in their own way. And there isn't a right or wrong here. It's what's important to you. Everybody has some circumstances that are personal to them, which will lead to certainly personally and professionally very different paths. The way that I always like to look at things, and the way I see what's happening in front of us right now, there are unimaginable things that are happening around our world. The one thing that I have definitely felt is that everybody in the world is managing this in some fashion. Some certainly having difficult times with having it being touched by a family member or a friend, and then I'm certainly personally with a job loss of some sort. If I can looking through all the clouds and seeing ahead, a couple of things that I think they're going to come out of this that I really genuinely started to see, and I believe that and I started to see this in the last couple of organizations that I worked for, and I really loved it, is that the generations coming up today are focused much more on the balance and taking care of themselves than any other generation ever has. And I think that was a fault of the generation I was in, where we didn't do that enough. And so I think that this is forcing a lot of individuals to pay attention to that when they weren't yet. And that is critical to who we are as individuals and how we can manage what's coming in the future. The other thing I think is incredibly positive is that there's a lot of industries and organizations that would never have gone to doing anything remote if this didn't happen. And what it did is it's forced people who never thought they could, or businesses who didn't think they could, to actually function and communicate and continue to run a business where people are scattered all over the country or all over the world. There are global companies that already know how to do that, but there's a lot of really amazing companies that didn't know how to do it, and now they're doing it. So what that leads to, when I think about this generation graduating today, and even people who are impacted by unemployment, it's going to start creating jobs that didn't exist 4 months ago. There are even like, I'm a big advocate of you can work from anywhere in the world, because that's what I've always done. And it doesn't really matter where you sit, as long as you can learn how to function and communicate and operate in an environment like this. But even the company I'm at right now, small Vermont company, never thought they could work remotely, are loving it. And we're starting to post positions that are in the West Coast now where they can work remotely, where they never would have done that when I started 4 months ago. And so it's hard to see it now, but companies are changing the way that they look at their business. They're changing how they operate. They're changing how they communicate. And I believe that these changes are for the better. I think that some industries will struggle more than others in it, but I think what you'll see, it's almost like an evolution of where we're going in the future. And I believe that this will create opportunities that the generation this year will be able to embrace even faster than some of the generations that are a little bit older that struggle with it. Because you understand the technology piece. If and everybody has a different way of communicating, but this allows us to not only communicate from a chat perspective, but also video. And it just was unheard of, a few years ago. So my hope, and this is what I'm seeing in the company I'm in, this is what I'm seeing with other companies around me, they're starting to be open-minded where they weren't before. So I think it's going to open up some doors that didn't exist before. Thing I'll say, and sometimes it's easier said than done, but allow yourself a couple of things as you're searching for positions. First, take care of yourself. It's very important, because if you don't take care of yourself, everything else isn't going to align as well as it should, as it could. Be kind to yourself. Be patient. And I understand it can get discouraging in some cases, but if you can look at that as an opportunity, and you grasp onto it and learn from it, I know it will benefit you. You're going to look back and you're going to be speaking here in another 20 years and you're going to be like, oh, wow, that was like an interesting time for me. But because of that event, here's what I did. And this is my career path. And I don't know if I would have gone that direction if it wasn't for what happened. I mean, it's hard to think outside that, but I encourage you to allow yourself to do that. Open up doors. Don't close anything. If you find yourself closing it, ask for help from your friends or your family. I do this with my husband. I always say to him, if you find me going down this path where I'm not paying attention to it, flag it for me. And he does it. And it's great. I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't realize I was closing that. Thank you. And then I get myself back around it again. So don't do it alone. You never have to do this stuff alone. And just, check in with the folks that care about you to help you through it.